today we would be doing paper 2 of O-levels business. Okay. So this is paper this is paper of October November 2023, and for paper 2 you only have 1 hour 30 minutes, and in this 1 hour 30 minutes you would have to read a case study. You would have to answer four four part A's. You would have to write you would have to do 4 part B's. अब जो पार्ट ए है ना वो 8 मार्कर्स के, और जो पार्ट बी है वो 12 मार्कर्स के। अच्छा, यहाँ पे आपके पास टाइम है 1 hour 30 मिनट्स। अब 1 hour 30 मिनट्स का मतलब क्या हुआ, गौर से समझना इसको। 1 hour 30 मिनट्स का मतलब है कि आपको इसमें केस स्टडी भी करनी है, आपको 4 ए पार्ट्स भी करने हैं, आपको 4 पार्ट बीज भी करने हैं। अब फॉर एवरी पार्ट ए you would have 8 minutes. For every part B, you would have 12 minutes. And this in total would be making 20 minutes. And as you have total 4 questions, 4 part A's and 4 part B's, which means that in order to solve every question, you only have 20 multiplied by 4, that is 80 minutes. And that would leave you 10 minutes, which you would use it to read the case study. So for the case study, you have 10 minutes. For every part A, you have 8 minutes. And for every part B, you have 12 minutes. So answer writing technique is one thing that is important in paper 2. And the other thing that is important in paper 2 is the time management. We'll start now with the case study. Sports safety equipment. SSE manufactures sports safety equipment in country Z. It is a public limited company. Public limited company means that it can sell shares to the general public and they can raise a lot of capital. It is a public limited company which has been successful for over 30 years. The main product SSE manufactures is safety helmets for different sports such as bicycle riding, cricket, and skateboarding. SSE has one large factory making the safety helmets. The factory uses flow production. Flow production is type of production where the business uses machines. The production workers each specialize in one task on the production line. SSE's raw materials are imported. SSE sells its helmet in several other countries and is planning to expand into many more. It will need to carry out market research before entering into new markets in other countries. Each country has different sports, and therefore they would have to make new products for each country that are popular, and the style of helmets varies from country to country. SSE plans to build its own factories in its most important markets in other countries and will need to choose a suitable source of finance. The human resource director has decided to use internal recruitment. What is internal recruitment? When the business hires the employees from within the business. So the human resource director has decided to use internal recruitment for the managers of the new factories. There will be need to be effective communication between managers of the new factories and SEC's head office and in country Z. Most of SEC's sales in country Z are through sports equipment shops. Customers like to try on the helmets to check if they fit correctly. SSE currently sells its helmet in other countries through its website. SSE is also increasing its product range. The latest new product being developed is a children's cricket helmet. A break-even chart for this new product is shown in Appendix 3. Now we would go on Appendix 3 and see what the break-even is talking about. So the break-even is talking about the total revenue and the total cost. The point where total revenue and total cost are equal is the point of break-even, as we recently discussed in section number 4. And if I mark the numbers, if I mark the lines, Then what I believe is that break even in units would be somewhere between 700 and 800, which would be around 750. And break even in dollars would be somewhere around or between 40,000 and 35,000. And the middle amount would be 37,500. So 37,500 is break even in dollars, and 750 output or units is break even in units. So the break even chart is showing that if the business SSE sells 750 output, they would be making a break even. And if they would be earning a total revenue of 37,500, they would be break even in terms of dollars. Right? Now we would discuss about the Appendix 1. Appendix 1 is an extract from SSE's website. If you want the best protection when playing sport, then buy an SSE safety helmet. So what is the advertisement or extract from the website? We supply a wide range of safety helmets for you when playing sport. Whatever the sport, SEC produces a helmet for you. You can order directly from this website by entering your head measurements below. Get the perfect fit for you. Now we would solve an 8-marker question, first 8-marker question of this paper. So part A is always the 8-marker question. An 8-marker question of paper 2 has different marking criteria. Each question has a different marking criteria in paper 2. So how the marks would be divided, how the marks would be allocated, we would be discussing this. So we would read the question that what is the question is about. Explain two advantages of using specialization when producing SSE's product. The name of the business is mentioned here. That means this question would be carrying marks for application. If the name of the business is mentioned in the question, that means marks for application is included in this question. And you would have to write two advantages. If you have to write two advantages, therefore there are 2 marks for knowledge. There are 2 marks for knowledge. And as the name of the business is mentioned here, there would be marks for application. And I have told you many times that marks for application is always equal to marks for knowledge. So in this case, if there are 2 marks for knowledge and the name of the business is mentioned here, therefore there would be 2 marks for knowledge and 2 marks for application. 2 marks for knowledge and 2 marks for application. But the total marks for the question was 8 marks. So the remaining 4 marks would be for analysis. So how this question is divided is 2 marks for knowledge, 2 marks for application, and 4 marks for analysis. This is how this A part is divided. And the other A parts of this paper would be divided into different circumstances where there would be increased marks for application, where there would be less marks for analysis, or there can be no marks for application. So as we go on to solve to solve further, we would be understanding how the A parts are different of the paper 2. So we have to write 2 advantages of using specialization when producing SEC's products. So what would be the first benefit of using specialization? When we would be using specialization, as each worker would be doing the task they are best at, they would be producing good quality products. So advantage 1 would be higher quality products would be made. And as soon as you write the first advantage, you would be getting 1 marks for knowledge. So 1 marks for knowledge, writing the first advantage. And the second advantage would be less, as the workers would be skilled, they would be making less mistakes. So advantage two would be less wastage of the raw materials. So as soon as you write the advantage two, you would be getting another marks for knowledge. So you have gained all marks for knowledge by writing the two advantages. So higher quality products would be made, and advantage two, less wastage of the raw materials. Now an explanation paragraph, you would have to apply your answer to the case study, and you would have to write analysis. And here you would have to write double analysis, as there are 4 marks for analysis, 2 marks for first para, and 2 marks analysis for the second paragraph. So you have to write double analysis rather than writing only single analysis. So how you would be writing that? Explanation. So the product SSE produces is safety, sports safety equipment, right? So as as SSE uses specialization to manufacture sports to manufacture sports safety equipment. As SAC uses specialization to manufacture sports safety equipment, the specialized workers would be producing good quality. As the workers would be producing good quality, what will it lead to? Therefore, SSE would be able, therefore, SSE would be able to charge higher prices. Therefore, SEC would be able to charge higher prices. This is first part of analysis. Now you would have to analyze this impact more. So what would the business gain from charging higher prices? They would be able to increase their profits. So therefore, SAC would be able to charge higher prices. As a result, they would be able to enjoy higher profits. So as you wrote down sports safety equipment, this would gain you marks, 1 mark application. And if you write down the, therefore SSE would be able to charge higher prices. So you wrote the impact or analysis or the consequences of producing good quality helmets or good quality safety, sports safety equipment. If the business would be able to produce good quality, they would be able to charge higher prices, and therefore they would be able to enjoy higher profits. These are 2 parts for analysis. So for these 2 parts, you would be getting 2 marks for analysis. 1 mark for knowledge, 1 mark for application, and 2 marks for analysis. And this is how you would be getting 4 marks for this paragraph. Now, coming on to our next paragraph, that is advantage two. So, we already wrote down the advantage two, that is less wastage of the raw materials. less wastage of the raw materials. So if or as SSE uses, so for application we would have to refer to the case. For example, it is a public limited company, we can use public limited company. We can use successful for over 30 years. Okay, we can also write it has a large factory making the safety helmets. So we can use this as application. As SAC uses specialization in its large factory for 30 years, this must have allowed them to reduce wastage. So as SEC uses specialization in its large factory for 30 years, this must have allowed them to reduce wastage of raw materials. As we used large factory for 30 years, we would be getting marks for application. So we have already gained 1 marks for knowledge. We have already gained 1 marks for application. Now we would be moving on to securing our 2 marks for analysis. So as the raw materials wastage would be reduced, so as a result, cost of production for SSE would fall, which will allow them to charge lower prices when entering new countries. And another part of analysis, therefore, by charging lower prices, therefore, SSE would be able to increase their market share quickly. So as we wrote down, as a result, costs of production would fall, which will allow them to charge lower prices, and therefore market share would increase. This would convince examiner to provide us 2 marks for analysis. So charging lower prices, increasing market share, cost of production would fall. We would be getting marks for analysis. So this is the question 4 of the same paper. So here the examiner wants us to explain 4 ways. Explain 4 ways the break-even chart in Appendix 3 might be helpful to SSE. Here the business name is mentioned. Therefore, there would be marks for application. And as you have to write 4 ways, you would be gaining 4 marks for knowledge. And as I already mentioned, that marks for application cannot exceed or cannot be low than marks for knowledge. So if there are 4 marks for knowledge, there would be 4 marks for application as the name of the business is mentioned here. Right? So 4 marks for knowledge, 4 marks for application. So what would be what in what ways the break-even chart would be helpful for any business? So we have to write 4 ways in which break-even chart would help SSE. and we would have to refer to the break-even chart. So the break-even quantity is at 750 output. So we can also calculate the margin of safety. Margin of safety is sales or maximum output minus break-even output. Minus break-even output. So maximum sales or maximum output produced is 1000, whereas break-even is 750. So sales or maximum output would be 1000 minus break-even output, that is 750. So 1000 minus 750 would be 250. 250 output would be margin of safety. So you can also write this 250 output as application in the in your answer of break even, right? So how break even can be useful? So first, break even would allow the manager to know how many units of helmets would have to be sold in order to be safe from losses, which, as mentioned in Appendix 3, is 750 output. So you mentioned 750 output, which will help you to gain marks for application. We also wrote down helmets. So you can use any of the two to gain marks for application. And what would be the use of break even? It would help manager to know how many units to sell. How many units to sell. This would gain marks for knowledge. And as you referred your answer to the case study, you would be getting marks for application. Next, it would allow the manager to know the area above which they would start making profit, which is the margin of safety of 250 output. So as we calculated in Appendix 3, that 250 output would be margin of safety. That area would allow the manager to understand that if they are able to sell any output above 750 output, they would be making a profit. So the units after the 750, that is 250 output out of the last, that the 250 output after the 750 helmets would gain you profit. So manager would be aware of that. So as we use 250 output, we would be getting marks for application, and the manager would be aware of the profit area. It would gain marks for knowledge. Now we would be writing V3. So we can also write, like, we can also mention that fixed cost. that the manager would be aware of, or would can see that if the fixed costs are changed from $15,000, how would that impact the break even output. So the change in cost would lead to how much change in break even is also a way which can help managers to use break even. So way 3, manager would be able to calculate the change in manager would be able to calculate the change in break even output if the $15,000 fixed cost would be changed. So what would be marks for knowledge? They would be able to calculate the change in break-even output. This is the usefulness. This is the way the manager can use break-even output. And when we mentioned that the fixed cost of $15,000, we would be getting $15,000 of fixed cost. We would be getting marks for application. The fourth use that we can write in the usefulness of break even, it will allow the manager to set the prices. For example, whether he should charge. Now for this, we would have to calculate the price. So as mentioned in the break-even chart, that at the output 1,000, the total revenue would be 50,000. If 1,000 output, if 1,000 units are sold, the company would be getting $50,000 in revenue. That means if I divide the total revenue with the total units, we would be getting a price of $50. That means that while making the break-even chart, SSE took $50 as the price of the helmet. So it will allow manager to set the prices. For example, whether he should charge $50 for the children's helmet or not. So this $50 would gain you marks for application, and it will allow the manager to set the prices, would be getting marks for knowledge. So these are two types of 8 markers, where in the first one, 8 marker was divided into 2 marks for knowledge, 2 marks for application, and 2 marks for analysis, 4 marks for analysis. And in the other 8 marker, we discussed that the 8 marks was divided into 2 parts, 4 marks for knowledge and 4 marks for application.